All right, let's get this party started. Welcome everyone to our October meeting. October was kind of a hard scheduling month, so thank you for coming to our very brief meeting here. So order of business, we're going to do some PHPSG updates. Julie has some distinct lecture updates. Student conclave is this weekend. We're sending a couple people, so I'm going to talk about that real quick. And then I'm going to do the first journal club, and that'll be starting up for next meeting and then all of next semester. So.
Hi guys, Claire again. Everyone's in our class. Okay, so as PHPSG rep, part of my job is to just give updates on what happens at PHPSG meetings. So with that, the career fair, which all of us I think have to go to, is next Friday. And it's important to pre-register for that because depending on how many people they have pre-registered, that's how companies kind of sign up to come, and they like pay to be here. And the money that they pay goes towards scholarships that we get to apply for. So that's why it's important to pre-register, because then more people will come, which means more money for potentially us. Us as in like everyone, not specifically Pte. And then there are a couple events going on in the near future. So on November 17th, there is a wheelchair scavenger hunt put on by Student Empowerment Network, and also a wheelchair cleaning put on by IGO. Next Thursday, IGO will be doing the lunch, which is going to be a chili feed. Let's see. Okay, and that's it for PHPSG updates. But then also I am in charge of planning the trivia night, which we put on as a fundraiser. And I would love to get some help from anyone. So if anyone's interested in helping out with that, which would be kind of like helping to come up with trivia questions, maybe helping with like the email advertisement and contacting places or food for the night, I would love you to email me at clairewareham@creighton.edu. And some updates regarding that. We are thinking potential places would be Zipline Brewery, and I was just in contact with someone over there recently, and it sounds like it's going to work, not necessarily for the night we were hoping for, but hopefully in January is kind of what we're thinking for that. So yeah, just email me if you would like to or be able to help out with that. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Julia.
Thank you. Okay, so some exciting news here is we have our distinguished lecturer. Neil has agreed, and this was just very awesome and super exciting because he was the first choice that we had. And he's big with education, and so, you know, like we all know that occupational therapy, now you have to have an OTD, and so we're really hoping that the category is kind of like occupational therapy education and now in the future, and just where he sees future trends are going. That way he can help us, you know, what do we need to do to stay involved, what do the professors need to do to make sure we get that education, and where to go from there. Details to follow as to when it is. We're kind of hoping for that Thursday when we come back from spring break, but we're still discussing that.
Thank you. All right, so this weekend there's student conclave through AOTA in Alabama, and our group is sending Kendra and Katie on behalf of us to attend some of the meetings and vote on our behalf, and then when they return, they are going to give you guys a little presentation on what went on there, what they voted on, what are some of the changes that are happening. And I think Kendra was telling me that they're going to do a little fun video to make it a little bit more interactive and fun, so that's that. Okay, so journal club, we haven't done this yet, but we're going to start it up here. I'm going to do the first one as kind of an example, and then depending on interest, who wants to do it, we'll just go from there. So we are an evidence-based / research scholarship group, so you're not getting out of here without learning anything. So this is my article I used actually for the neurooccupation assignment. I really nerded out on it and I loved it, but don't ask me what grade I'm gonna get on it because I don't know. So I did the impacts of nature imagery on people in severely nature-deprived environments. So some background information that we got from the article. So evolutionary human species have an innate connection to the natural world, and that just means your natural environment, your natural surroundings, trees, grass, sky, all that jazz. And as a species, we gain physical, spiritual, and mental health benefits from being surrounded by these environments. So deprivation of these natural settings lead to what they call extinction of experience. And so that's just the lack of physical, emotional, and spiritual benefits that I talked about earlier. And it's estimated that right now 5.3 million people have extremely limited access to the natural world, and that's talking about prisons, nursing homes, assisted livings, and hospitals and stuff like that. And then this population is drastically increasing, which is a huge problem. So the participants for this study were inmates at Snake River Correctional Institution, and this is a picture of one of their cells. They are in that cell for 23 hours a day. They do not have access to the outside world at all. And they get 1 hour of exercise up to 5 days a week. This is a maximum security prison, and the inmates were in the, what did they call it? Intensive management units, which just means solitary confinements. And there were 40 total, 24 in the control group, and then there's 24 in the intervention group, and they matched them up based on behavior, staff they worked with, and their mental health status, so they're kind of equal in that aspect. So the intervention was, they were able, during their 1 hour of exercise time, they showed them videos of nature, which they could choose. And they could choose to either utilize that or not, depending on the day of the week, they had a lot of freedom with that. And so they did this for 1 year, up to 5 times a week for 1 year. And they had 38 videos to choose from. And these videos also included soundscapes and ambient sounds. So these are the results. The red, oops, it got a little cut off, but that means that they agreed. So as you can see, inmates reported feeling more calm, and their feeling was sustained. So even hours after the intervention, they felt a lot better about themselves. And they reported more positive staff relation. They had a better outlook on who they were working with. What else do we got here? So the measurements was based on interviews by a select staff member, and then also surveys that the inmates filled out, and then just they came up with their own analysis of the violent behavior. So the inmates would get citations based on violent outbursts that they might have. So in the end, they found that these violent outbursts were decreased, and the inmates who received the intervention got less of those citations, I guess you could call them. And the staff members observed less violent behavior, fewer cell extractions, and the cell extraction is when they were self-inflicting harm and they needed to go in there with full on body suits and armor to take them out of the cell because they were harming themselves. And so then there are some open-ended questions on some of the surveys too, and these comments indicated more empathetic and pro-social attitudes from the inmates who received the intervention. So in the discussion, they said that it justifies the promotion of further research on this topic and also maybe some potential policy changes because the United States has a really high incarceration rate, and we need more of a reformative policy rather than a punitive policy, in my opinion. Plug. But they did identify some extraneous variables. So the Hawthorne effect, which is when people behave in a certain way knowing that they're being watched, or they report certain manners knowing that they're being watched. And then they did, most of the time in solitary confinement, you get zero choice over anything. So they did get the choice of video, so that incorporates some freedom there that they said may could have had more of an effect on their attitudes, and they also had human contact beyond the staff. And the staff that worked with them, the inmates reported being very nice and listened to them. So that could also have had more of an effect on their attitudes. So here are some things that related to OT. We can keep this study in mind for environmental modifications. Again, home health, for example, if you notice that their house is all white and not a whole lot of environment stimulation going on, you could suggest purchasing some houseplants. Getting some more light, some more ambiance in there. You could even incorporate nature and natural settings for interventions. So this lovely picture on the bottom, this guy took the lady outside to do some intervention, get some more stimulus that way. I thought maybe it could be used as a preparatory method too, if you start out outside or if you have them look at things of nature, they might be more willing to participate. I don't really know, just thought maybe. And then I guess when you're doing your initial assessment, you can also ask about their natural environment and where they live and how much scenery they get and how much time they spend outside in nature. That could be a determinant for attitudes and moods overall. And patient education on the importance of the natural world and the brain. So through this article, I came up with some further questions that I was wondering. With our rapid urbanization, what does this concept mean for our species in general? It's kind of scary to think about with all of the buildings and stuff going up. They didn't talk a whole lot about structural and physiological changes in the brain. The physical changes in the brain. And then I want to take this, maybe future deck for those of you out there. I want to take it and explore the possibilities in hospitals, psychiatric hospitals and nursing homes. But then I also thought for psychiatric hospitals, maybe there'd be some contraindications with the imagery and stuff like that. Here's a citation, no plagiarism here. Okay, so our next meeting, thank you again for coming. Our next meeting is Monday, November 27th, and Katie and Kendra will be giving us their student conclave updates. We'll be having guest speakers, and also a reminder to send Claire an email if you wish to help out with trivia night. It's going to be so fun, so I'd encourage lots of help. You can make really cool questions.
Also, I wanted to say thank you for everyone that helped out with the pasta fundraiser that came up like super quick. But it was a really good turnout, so thanks everybody.
And Journal Club is technically Katie's responsibility, and so she will be telling you more about the logistics of all that too. I just thought I gave you a little example to follow. Thank you.
The only thing next time